Et donc salut les gars, on se retrouve pour une petite vidéo où on va voir une interview entre Guy et David Hoffman. Pour moi, c'est deux mecs que j'aime beaucoup. Guy, il a fait des bons trades dernièrement. C'est le mec qui va interviewer. Et il va interviewer du coup David Hoffman, qui est un des fondateurs de Bankless et qui franchement je trouve, a des très bonnes takes sur, il a des très bons avis sur le marché. Les deux sont très intéressants. Et je crois dans cette interview, ils vont parler de Zcash et je pense Zcash franchement c'est dans mon top actif pour le prochain cycle, donc ça va être très très intéressant. On va voir un peu les thèses, on va voir un peu tout ça et je pense de manière générale l'interview va être très intéressante, donc voilà, on va commencer tout ça et puis ça va être juste le but de la vidéo, discuter un petit peu de euh, enfin de Zcash, de ce qu'ils disent, on va voir du marché. Et je pense qu'il va y avoir des trucs très intéressants. Mais même, je pense, vu comment l'interview est tournée un petit peu, ça va parler des marchés, mais ça va aussi parler de comment voir le marché, comment spéculer sur le marché, comment profiter du marché. Je pense qu'il va y avoir des petites astuces qui sont très intéressantes. Et je pense que ça va être une interview très très intéressante, vraiment. Moi, je la regarde pour moi et je me suis dit, autant la partager. Je partagerai les notes aussi en même temps. Et les notes, je les partage en fichier .md, donc comme là. Et comme ça, enfin, je trouve ça intéressant, comme ça, vous pouvez le mettre un peu dans la forme que vous voulez, vous pouvez donner ça à l'IA et tout. Donc voilà, c'est à peu près tout. Et du coup, c'est parti.
At least some tokens that are alive, which is exciting. Happens.
I apologize for my voice. It was it's struggling, but we got the T out.
It happens.
How you been, man? It's been a while.
Good, good. It kind of feels like there are at least some tokens that are alive, which is exciting. It feels like now. It does not feel like 2 weeks ago. Something happened between 2 weeks ago and now.
And what I can't figure out is if it is notable in crypto vibe shift, times are changing, or if we're just being dragged up as little as possible by the rest of the market, stock market in particular, just re-rating higher and higher and higher.
Well, Bitcoin's definitely being dragged up because the correlation to QQQ is at all-time highs. Like we just know that for a fact. So to some degree, yeah, like Bitcoin is kind of getting cucked by the S&P and QQQ, but then there are some like idiosyncratic tokens which are pumping, which I don't know. I feel like some people are saying this is what it would be like in the calm before a storm.
I will say at the very least, I agree with you on a couple select alts. There's a couple spots which we're going to talk about. Zcash, obviously, we're talking about VVV. We're going to talk about some of these coins that are getting.
Vivi, pour ceux qui savent pas, c'est un des plus gros projets IA. Je trouve ça, en vrai, je suis dégoûté parce que j'ai eu l'airdrop. J'ai vendu l'airdrop au tout début et le token a performé, mais comme franchement, il était à. Alors là, on voit le market cap, mais si on prend le prix, il est descendu à 1$, il est à 16$. Voilà. J'ai dû vendre vers les 10$, je pense, à peu près. Franchement, je suis dégoûté parce qu'en plus, pour le coup, le token est vraiment utile. Il donne des crédits IA. Et enfin bref, franchement, la performance est ouf et ouf.
Flows, they do appear to be notable. And at the very least, it's a breath of fresh air. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
someone
there's
in
some
crypto
action.
is getting rewarded. You guys had Michael Saylor on recently. Congrats. Really sick episode. I actually want to start with this, but I am curious, especially as a current or former somewhere between ETH Maxi. Where are you on Stretch, MSTR, drama as it currently stands?
Yeah, the way we think at Bankless is we kind of think in content threads, and one thread that we want to pull on every now and then, just kind of check in on it, is Michael Saylor walking the tightrope between is strategy a Ponzi or is he just doing a good sophisticated arbitrage between time frame investors? And really what side he's on is going to be determined by how much risk he takes.
Yes.
And so that's the theme. And then Stretch, it's a good product so long as he can manage risk. And
are you a holder of Stretch?
Yeah, like a very marginal amount.
Really?
Just because, yeah, it's like I think of like $500 of it.
Oh,
just,
okay.
Yeah.
Like very minimal, yeah.
Yeah. Like a non-zero amount is the way to describe that. But like I can see myself owning more, and it's like I really liked the thesis that he presented. It's just like Bitcoin is the collateral for this new like banking product where you are paid the interest rates, the yields that you ought to be paid that your banks aren't paying you. And so as like a new like neobank with a different denominator that is paying people yield in a fundamentally more true way. Yeah, I like it. He just has to manage the risk. And I think when he goes and says like I will sell Bitcoin to fund the dividends, that's an example of him committing to appropriately risk manage. So yeah, I'm a fan.
There's also an argument to be had there that Bitcoin, for the first time in I don't know how long, moves up or at least stays flat on what I would consider bad news, which is something we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, you're talking about like the Iran war and
well, the Iran war, but also Saylor talking about selling Bitcoin. At least in my bubble, maybe I don't
think Saylor selling Bitcoin is bearish. I think it's bullish. I think more net Bitcoin will be bought by Saylor the more he can imbue Stretch with more confidence.
How is he to interview? Like what's
Dude,
the
he's
vibe
so hard
you get
to
from
interview.
him when
he's so hard. He's one of these guys that you just can't interrupt. And I talked to our buddy Alex Thorne from Galaxy because he interviewed Saylor. He went to his home and like he just gave us some advice. He's like, dude, he's just gonna steamroll you as an interviewer. Like you're gonna get, we got like a total of 5 questions in, and towards the end I had to get like more on the edge of my seat and get more aggressive and like frankly rude about injecting what I wanted to say. So he would like wrap it up. Like I wanted to play the wrap it up music at the Golden Globes or whatever they do. I think we got like a total of 5 or 6 questions, and that was it.
Over what, an hour? Hour and a half?
I was like an hour and 40 minutes, dude. It was really long.
Wow. Congrats on the interview. I mostly just saw clips. We watched some clips on the stream. There were some good ones. But yeah, TBD how the situation plays out. But what I'm most excited about right now are a few of these alts outperforming. In particular, Zcash is one of my favorites. It was one of my best trades in 25. I've sort of
you still have that trade open?
I've sort of found myself back in it in this year, a couple weeks ago, and it's turned into kind of a monster. You sent me a cool DM, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it is a really fun one. And you found yourself in the Zcash discussion with a CryptoPunk sale followed by a Zcash article. So what was that? You sold the punk to buy Zcash? Like, give me the rundown.
Yeah, those are two things that kind of had been happening separately that just decided to converge at the same time. Just like CryptoPunk proxy for ETH, ETH momentum.
Attendez, j'ai pas. Est-ce qu'il a encore son trade ouvert ou pas?
Mostly just saw clips. We watched some clips on this board.
A total of 5 or 6 questions, and that was it.
It is a really fun one. You sold the punk to buy Zcash, like in the Zcash discussion, turned into kind of a monster. Back to 25. These alts outperforming. In particular, Zcash is one of my favorite. It was one of my best trades in 25.
Congrats. You still have that trade open?
I've sort of found myself back in it in this year, a couple weeks ago, and it's turned into kind of a monster. You sent me a cool DM, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it is a really fun one. And you found yourself in the Zcash discussion with a CryptoPunk sale followed by a Zcash article. So what was that? You sold the punk to buy Zcash? Like, give me the rundown.
Yeah, those are two things that kind of had been happening separately that just decided to converge at the same time. Just like CryptoPunk proxy for ETH, ETH momentum, ETH motion is elsewhere. It's just elsewhere right now. Like the investment case for Bitcoin is that Michael Saylor's going to buy a ton of it. The investment case for ETH is that Tom Lee's going to buy a ton of it, which is like cool. That's kind of like growing up, I guess, in a sense. It's like the institutionalization of both of them. But like the investment case for Zcash, there was like so much substance there. I can't write an article about the investment case for ETH because Tom Lee's buying it. It's like, who cares? Like that's a tweet, not an article. The investment case for Zcash is like robust and thorough, and like first, like we're all in crypto Twitter, we're all investors, but I'm first and foremost like a content producer. I love telling stories. The Zcash story is a really good story, and I'm compelled by the story. And so there's just like story investor resonance in Zcash, and so like me and a bunch of other people just compelled about that, and so that's what really compelled me to write the article.
Was it a big deal for you to sell a punk? Like, what you held? It took a loss on it for sure, right?
Yeah, I bought it 2021. I bought it for 69 ETH and then sold it for 62 ETH. But then the ETH was a much higher price at the time that I bought it. So yeah, a dollar denominated loss, and then like a marginal ETH denominated loss.
And so you were thinking of the punk as just strictly a prox, like leveraged ETH beta, basically.
Yeah, like I always kind of said that punks are. Like exposure to how cool Ethereum is. Like if Ethereum is cool, then punks will have an ETH denominated premium. If Ethereum is less cool, then punks will lose that premium.
That's a fun take. Have you given up on ETH being cool?
I don't see ETH not being cool in the short term. No. I think like a lot of my frustrations come with like the ETH leadership. Like something I tweeted out before I wrote that article was like, the cool thing about Zuko is that he's like bullish on Zcash and like wants it to go up in price, and he's explicit about that. And to me, that was just like refreshing. I saved that for the stream doc. I don't know if it made it. I actually liked that tweet of yours, which was like, Dev cares about price. What is your thinking on that? Like,
I guess it's a complete 180 from Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation caring about price.
Yeah, that's basically it. And like, I don't want to like talk negatively about Vitalik or the EF Foundation, but it's just like they have diverging goals. Like, I think Vitalik really wants Ethereum to be like a check on the powers that be, especially the future unknown powers that be that we can't really imagine. And a lot of, in my opinion, like what I'm here to do and what many others in Ethereum are here to do is for like Ethereum to not be a check on power, but to be the power itself. And that as an investment case, it's much more salient when Ethereum is the institution rather than being a check on institutions. And, you know, Ethereum is consistently being positioned as like a check on institutions, which doesn't really have a strong investment case.
You know, it's actually a fun take. I've never really thought about it this way, but indirectly, I obviously do, which is like Hyperliquid Jeff obviously cares about the price amongst all else, right? They take all of the revenue, basically twop the token back. Like Pump hasn't done well, but Elon obviously cares about the Pump fund price. Like there seems to be like a theme there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these are all different people and like different cultures and vibes, but having some sort of notion of just like, it's not even about, you know, I don't want Vitalik to turn Ethereum into an ETH TWAPing protocol, even though it kind of does do that with the burn, but just like a notion that like growth and, you know, Ethereum is an economic system that if it grows, that's good for Ethereum, and Ethereum has certain goals, cypherpunk values, decentralization, all these things. Those goals are better achieved with a higher ETH price, which doesn't really seem to be like inside of like ETH leadership culture. It's just only in the community, and the community is only so powerful.
It's a good take. You're like 2017 crypto, right? Maybe pre.
That's right. Yeah.
Why is like, it was funny when Zcash first started pumping. It was so at 25. It was so hated because everyone was like, "What the fuck is Zcash? What the fuck are we doing?" Why was Zcash so cocked by like the OG crowd?
Yeah, I remember in the early Ethereum days, there was a big conversation about block rewards, dev block rewards, and there was a big fight in Ethereum. Like Kevin Wacky was on one side of this fight where he wanted like, hey, we could like fund for Ethereum public goods, fund the dev teams by taking 10% of the block rewards, and we can just fund them. And then like me and like Ryan, my co-host, and a bunch of other people were like, no, ETH is money. It needs to be politically neutral. Don't do that. And Zcash kind of embodied just like a bunch of things that Ethereum disagreed with, like proof of work, a block reward dev fund, and it looked like a sandbox for cryptographers to tinker with their cryptography, much more than it was like, you know, like a money or anything like that. But like as it's gone on, like that was the age back then, and then like the 5 years of irrelevancy is actually kind of like turning into an asset for it, because like now it's just like everyone's stoked about Zcash because it's PVE, and one of the reasons why it's PVE is because like no one believed in it until now.
Thanks for the lore. I was kind of fired up to see you buy it, by the way, because I was like, all right.
I haven't bought it quite yet. I took a little bit of dust. Okay. And I just like 10x longed at the very top, just as like kind of a,
that's awesome,
as a hedge. But like my actual capital, I'm yet to deploy.
So what's
Attends, là il parle de Zcash ou pas?
Until now, like now it's just like everyone's stoked about Zcash because it's PVE, and one of the reasons why PVE is because like no one believed in it until now.
Thanks for the lore. I was kind of fired up to see you buy it, by the way, because I was like, all right.
I haven't bought it quite yet. I took a little bit of
donc
dust,
il l'a pas acheté.
and I just like 10x longed at the very top, just as like kind of a,
that's awesome,
as a hedge. But like my actual capital, I'm yet to deploy.
So what's your thought process on like how and when to do that? Like how do you think about these trades?
Oh, dude, I'm not a trader. I'll just start TWAPing in tonight whenever I get my money unfrozen from Coinbase.
Oh yeah, what happened with that, by the way?
Yeah, you send money out of Coinbase, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna hold this for 72 hours and just verify.
It's bankless, man.
You've never had that happen to you?
No, because the coins are the worst. It's brutal.
I went into Kane's DMs and be like, dude, I would use Infinex so much more if they had an on ramp.
Yeah, facts. Anything. Coinbase is tough, but we're sort of like forced into using it.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, buy it, not buy it. To see you write the article, it kind of fired me up, because, you know, like one of the bull cases I like for crypto is that even if no new inflows, like no meaningful inflows came into crypto, there could be this mass re-rating of the top 100, which is that most of the, if you ever, I mean, I'm sure you do it, CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, whatever, top 100 is like brutal what is in that list, right? It's like,
it's always been that way.
It's horrifying what's in that list. And there's enough money in that list where you could just flow bad coins to good coins and make some very meaningful pumps. And to see like someone like you post the Zcash thesis is, I'm like, okay, there's some of these not super trader short time frame like thinkers in crypto. It basically scratches the itch of a new level of capital, I think, in crypto, which is very interesting about the Zcash thesis. Like, what sort of got you fired up enough to write an article, publish it about it? 'Cause I don't see you doing that about that many tokens.
Yeah. I write articles when I see an opportunity in like the content market, where I was looking around for who wrote the Zcash thesis, and it was fragmented. Like Mert had some good tweets, Ansem had some good tweets. No one really all had it all in one place. And so, like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like my attempt was like, okay, let me collect all of these very good theses and put them into one article, where if somebody wants to just like get downloaded on Zcash quickly, they can just read this one article. That was the goal of it. And that's like kind of, I frequently do stuff like this where I kind of just see it as like a service to other people who are trying to get a grasp on things. And so that was really the motivation. To your point about like old coins or just like coins getting re-rated, we're in the middle of scheduling, like working on it. Mert is all the way around the world in Japan, and so schedule is a little difficult, but just like Mert and Tushar to come on the show to talk about Zcash. And like, I don't know if there's anything more PvE emblematic of like Mert from Solana and Tushar from Multicoin coming on Bankless to talk about Zcash. Like, it's the ultimate like middle ground.
Ça arrive quand ça?
Talk about Zcash. In the middle of scheduling, like working on it. Mert is all the way around the world in Japan, and so schedule is a little difficult, but just like Mert and Tushar to come on the show to talk about Zcash. And like, I don't know if there's anything more PvE emblematic of like Mert from...
Ça, on va clairement le regarder, parce que Mert, c'est un mec qui est assez bullish sur Zcash. Je vais vous montrer qui c'est, comme ça vous pourrez le suivre. C'est lui, tout simplement. Bon, peut-être déjà vu, c'est un mec qui est deep sur Solana. Il a fait Elius Dev, qui sont voilà, des nodes Solana. Enfin, des RPC plutôt. Et gros boule sur Zcash. Un autre mec que vous pouvez regarder, c'est CryptoPasic. Je crois que c'est... Voilà, c'est lui, pass.eth. Un gros OG sur les cryptos. Et franchement, il est très très chaud. Ces deux mecs-là, c'est des bons gros OG sur la crypto en général. Et même sur les gros projets. Hein. Donc, c'était early sur... lui, Pass, il était early sur ETH. Mert, il était early sur Solana. Les deux, du coup, sont early sur Zcash. Il y a aussi Naval, Ravikant. Je crois que c'est juste Naval. Voilà, ce mec-là, donc un gros mec de la Silicon Valley. Et du coup, je crois qu'il a fait... Alors, je sais qu'il y a une sorte de pre-sale au début sur Zcash. Je sais pas si c'est un pre-sale d'equity ou de token. En fait, quand j'ai demandé à Grok, il m'a dit equity, mais ça me paraît bizarre, donc à revérifier. Mais voilà, il était super early dans Zcash aussi. Évidemment, il le chill maintenant. Mais voilà, c'est un peu les gros mecs à suivre sur Zcash. Et Mert, du coup, j'écouterai énormément le podcast. Je pense qu'il va être très très intéressant.
Solana and Tushar from Multicoin coming on Bankless to talk about Zcash. Like, it's the ultimate like middle ground for like all things in history to just be ignored. And so I like, as just an illustrative example, it's just like, yeah, I've never seen... I really get motivated when like a bunch of the crypto community all agrees about the same thing. And like, it's like, oh yeah, no, we are actually like, as a community, as a cult, whatever, we're all here, and it's kind of just like heartwarming when we have an opportunity to do that together. And I think what everyone sees is like, oh yeah, okay, so there's the argument that like this is just crypto Twitter hot money sloshing around, and this is all we can do because we're all broke, and so we can only pump it to this high. But like, everyone's kind of positioning for like, actually no, we're gonna hand this off to Bitwise and to Grayscale, and like they're gonna sell it to boomers' retirement portfolios, and like we're all in this trade together. I think that's fun, and I want to be a part of that.
I'm excited to listen.
Ouais, c'est ça. En fait, moi, c'est ça qui me hype de ouf. C'est que Zcash, c'est la même narrative que Bitcoin une deuxième fois. 21 millions de tokens. Proof of work. Bon, il y a le truc anonyme en plus. mais il y a aussi ce truc de, voilà, tout le monde se hype dessus. Il y a un peu cette vibe de cypherpunk. Et donc, du coup, j'ai hâte de voir. Donc, Grayscale, il y a le même truc, parce qu'il faut savoir que avant les ETF Bitcoin, il y avait ce truc de Grayscale, qui était Grayscale Trust Fund, je sais pas quoi, et t'avais un premium énorme, parce que les gens étaient tellement prêts à acheter du BTC, et ils pouvaient pas le faire sans les ETF. Du coup, en fait, ils achetaient à fond sur Grayscale, mais il y avait un premium de ouf. Et c'était un peu le seul outil que la TradFi pouvait acheter à l'époque. Et tout ça, j'ai tellement hâte de le revoir sur Zcash. Et je me dis, même, imaginons, en fait, quelle autre opportunité il y a pour un deuxième Saylor de venir et de faire la même chose que Michael Saylor a fait sur Bitcoin, de le faire sur Zcash. C'est exactement la même chose. Et du coup, là, on a exactement le même schéma qui va se reproduire, mais bref, je me hype tout seul, pardon.
Call out, Growing Kitty, I think is hacked, just tweeted.
This off to Bitwise and to Grayscale. The argument that like this is just crypto Twitter hot money sloshing around, and this is all we can do because we're all broke, and so we can only pump it to this high. But like everyone's kind of positioning for like, actually no, we're gonna hand this off to Bitwise and to Grayscale, and like they're gonna sell it to boomers' retirement portfolios, and like we're all in this trade together. I think that's fun, and I want to be a part of that.
I'm excited to listen to that. Also, quick call out, Growing Kitty, I think is hacked, just tweeted a CA. It's only at like,
Roaring Kitty.
yeah, the chat is tiny. He just tweeted a CA. It's a lot of coin. I know, it's at like 2 mil. It looks like a farm. It's on so much volume, and the market cap looks like a farm. Just calling out to the chat. What was your take on Mert and like a lot of these Giga Solana bulls going so hard for another token? Like, you I don't know, like, yeah,
I think it was a very smart choice by Mert. I really want to know how and like what motivated Mert to find Solana or find Zcash so cheap and so ahead of the curve. Because it wasn't on my radar, obviously. It makes sense. Like I don't know where Solana is. I think Solana has experienced in the same way that just like ETH is kind of getting priced against Bitcoin. I think Solana is getting priced against ETH and Bitcoin respectively. And so like protocol wars seem kind of over to me. Like Solana price is what it is. ETH price versus Bitcoin is what it is. These things are kind of like where they've landed. And so from just like a social media strategy, Mert like hopping onto, not to say he's hopped off the Solana train, but he's definitely hopped onto the Zcash train. And it's like a trade of cult of personality. Like he wants to grow his cult of personality. He's hopping on the Zcash train when this opportunity to do so. It's like a good move.
Someone has been here like 2017 crowd. What do you think of the Monero versus Zcash debate? Did you consider a Monero article as well?
I'll write any article that has like good enough substance to it. As far as the debate, as I understand it, is which token is going to go up in price more. And Monero, when it gets delisted from exchanges and it's like criminal coin and institutions can't touch it, versus the Zcash thesis, as I understand it, is that the crypto community pumps this thing up, all gets around it, and then Bitwise and other asset managers sell it to boomers. That can't happen with Monero. And so like, sure, in the same way that like Monero, I think does represent a check on power because it is true privacy. I mean, maybe it's weaker privacy. I'm sure there's some cryptography people who would like to argue the merits of privacy, but I'll give Monero its like purity points, where it's like, yeah, it's true privacy, completely cypherpunk, but it's a check on power rather than like be powerful itself, kind of in the same way like my frustrations are with Ethereum. And so, Zcash is like a handshake with the powers that be is the upside. And so, is there a debate? No, there's just like, they're in the same category and one's doing more than the other.
It's crazy that, people always do the argument, like my drug dealers never accepted Zcash. Monero being so private and difficult to transact has made it like impossible to buy.
Yeah.
I think it's like, this is a serious, because I like Monero. I like the vibe, I like the word, the way it sounds, the people that chill it, like it just like sounds right, and it's so difficult to trade it. I think that someone put up some pair on Hyperliquid at one point. I don't know exactly how that played out, but it's gotten so difficult to trade that it actually keeps a lot of people away from it because they don't know what to make of it.
Right. Yeah. It's been interesting to see the Zcash conversation be centered around money. Like Zcash is encrypted Bitcoin's private money. Money needs liquidity. Like it's great that Monero is literally better at privacy, but you need the moneyness.
You need the moneyness. It's a good take. On a completely side note, just why I have you here. What do you make of DeFi, ETH DeFi, but DeFi in particular? Like you are one half of Bankless,
right?
And it's a
DeFi's hard right now.
Unbelievable spot.
DeFi's super hard
to be pro DeFi. Like, do you have some level of existential dread about the state of DeFi right now?
I mean, I don't.
Ça c'est juste une petite observation personnelle, mais les actifs. Enfin, je sais que dans la TradFi, il y a deux il y a plusieurs paramètres qui sont pris en compte pour valoriser un actif. Mais premièrement, il y a le momentum. Donc plus un actif a monté et plus il a de chances de continuer à monter. Et ça, je sais que c'est vraiment un gros argument en train de faille. Mais il y a aussi l'argument de la liquidité. Plus un actif est liquide, et donc plus tu peux rentrer et sortir facilement, et plus tu lui donnes un premium parce que voilà, plus c'est facile de sortir, etc. Et souvent la liquidité, c'est aussi lié avec d'autres facteurs. Et je sais que la liquidité, du coup, c'est vraiment un gros argument.
Feel like I have existential dread, but I get the argument for like why some people have existential dread. Like there needs to be like I think some platforms are well positioned. Like Morpho is literally positioned to answer exactly why and how Aave got hacked. At the end of the day, like it's bad enough, even outside of the Aave hack, like with AI and all the other hacks, the vibe and like security is bad enough. Everyone is saying this. It's just like Kane Warwick said this on his podcast. Like I don't feel secure holding my assets on DeFi, and it's like that's again we're talking about money. It's like finance and money. DeFi needs to be completely rebuilt. Do you know what Odysseus from Phalanx Labs?
No, what is that? Maybe. What is that?
It's this crypto security protocol that is now getting extra attention because like he built his platform, his security platform, to like account for stuff like this. And so he wrote this article that like DeFi needs to be rebuilt from like an aeronautics industry perspective, where like on an airplane or like a spaceship, rocket, whatever. So many things are redundant because the components are expected to fail, and DeFi is not wired like that. Like with the Kelp layer 0 Aave setup, like you just needed one thing to fail, and it all kind of fell.
Yes.
Aave needed to assume that Kelp DAO was going to fail at some point in time and needed to have been constructed as such. Layer 0 needed to have assumed that like one of its components was going to break and needs to be constructed as such. So like DeFi needs a complete rewrite of how it is built, which it also needs a complete rewrite because everything needs to be rewritten in a post-Mythos era. And also everything needs to be rewritten to be formally verified. So there's just like a ton of work to be done. Like the DeFi concept and idea is still out there, but now we kind of need to like rebuild everything, and it'll be better. It's just gonna take a while and be very hard to get there.
I had Robert Leshner on the other week, which was you guys should do another
Ça c'est un bon argument pour Canton aussi, vraiment qui change ce truc de hack et qui adresse vraiment ce truc de hack. C'est vraiment c'est un excellent. Parce que Canton en fait c'est fait pour donner énormément de pouvoir aux applications. Et chaque application fait tourner un peu sa blockchain, et Canton c'est bien fait parce que chaque application peut quand même être composable et en plus a de la privacy, ce qui fait que tout le monde ne voit pas les transactions de tout le monde, ce qui est plutôt une bonne chose en soi. Et du coup c'est vrai que cette idée que la DeFi doit être un peu réécrite, mais du coup je trouve ça très bullish pour Canton. Canton, bon, je vous invite à voir d'autres vidéos parce que je peux pas trop en parler là, mais sinon ça va être beaucoup trop long. Mais Canton, c'est un autre layer 1 fait pour la TradFi.
Last episode, it was fire, and his take was that Mythos is really scary for DeFi, but it also hard. Like, just as easily as it can compromise existing infrastructure, it can build a better foundation for future infrastructure that doesn't exist yet. And so that I think is optimistic. I find myself like I was in a discussion with this guy Darren on Twitter. I think is really smart, and we're going back and forth. And I am of the understanding that we could see this, concentrated flows into 5 coins, maybe VVV, TON, fuck it, Zcash, couple alts do very well. But he was asking about DeFi, and I'm like, I'm kind of a giga bear on DeFi right now, and he's like, well, that's gonna make it very difficult to see flows go into other coins if DeFi like ceases to exist. And so I'm not of the nature that's going to cease to exist, but it would be nice if that help layer 0 situation could have been sort of like a local bottom.
Yeah, I don't know. The assets that are moving right now don't have any dependencies. Like I'm not an expert on like hyperliquid architecture, but like hyperliquid is just like its own thing. They kind of control that thing end to end. Venice, well, that's a AI tech platform. It's got a pseudo equity token on base, but the token doesn't have any dependencies. Zcash is like a money. It's zero dependencies. That's kind of this whole deal. So all the tokens that are running right now don't have like the daisy chained risk contagion exposure that all the DeFi tokens do.
Which is nice. Can I ask you a side question?
Sure.
How's the bankless operation right now? Like how is it running, and how big are you guys? Because it's honestly, especially now, I know how much work goes into this. It's really impressive how you guys are churning the way that you are still.
Yeah, so like there's like the broader bankless umbrella, which has like a couple other like smaller media arms under it. And so we have the TDR, the DeFi report, which is kind of like our like research arm. You know how like Delphi research has like Galaxy research. We have this guy Michael Nadeau, him and Ryan do the DeFi report, and they do like 2 episodes a week, some for bankless premium subscribers, some for the public. and so that's like our premium research content. We have Limitless, which is Jaws and Josh.
Which is crushing, by the way.
Yeah, crushing.
Like really crushing.
Yeah, they're killing it. And so that's like our AI media arm. Then we have Bankless, which is crypto. Obviously, then we have like our newsletter team. So everyone is like kind of creator first. Then we have like all the operations people to support all of that. And so some like COO and graphic designer and website guy. And so that's everyone. The thing that like has really changed up in like the last like 2 weeks is like Ryan and I have our Claudes ready to go. So like when I bring on a guest, I do like a slash command slash guest prep. I give the guest's name, who they're from in like a little bit, and then they just collect all of everything that they've ever produced. It gives me a Grok prompt to go to Grok, 20 most viral tweets, exclude all replies, all this kind of stuff to get like a snapshot of what they said on Twitter. I'll go in and I'll use Obsidian to go snip things on the internet that are relevant and feed that data in, and then it kind of like it just rolls agenda for me. And so the guest preparation and then also guest selection. Guest selection, because like we really want to explore outside of crypto. We always have, but we also don't know who's out there. And so I'll kind of show or tell Claude about this concept of a podcast that I want to produce. Like, here's the subject matter. Give me the top 5 people to comment on these things. And like, they're usually names I'm just not familiar with. And then I go to YouTube and I check how well they can talk and if they have anything interesting to say. And then I invite them on the show.
You had Rory on, which was awesome.
Rory,
he rocks. I fucking love that guy.
Rory, he was such a friendly guy.
He's so good. That guy rocks. What is just got like genuinely curious. What do you think is the best business decision you guys ever made at Bankless?
Best business, honestly, talking about ETH was the best business decision. Because like we penetrated a community and like we told the story that like everyone like kind of felt, but like no one had really articulated it. And so that's where we kind of like rose. And then like in sponsorship lands, we have like 2 kind of philosophies on sponsors. We have like you lock in a long-term sponsor for a year, so yours are like Polymarket and Phantom, and then you lock them in at a stable price. We love the sponsors, and then those kind of like pay for the foundation. And then you have short-term sponsors that like refresh, turn over a little bit faster. That you also have like and because they're shorter, you can pay them or charge them at a higher rate, and that's where you get the profit from. And so when we came up with this like kind of philosophy of sponsorship in post FTX crash, because all marketing budgets dried up to zero, and so we're like, oh, we need to pay attention to this. And so that's when we like made a more intimate deal with like Kraken for 2023 and like a few others to move on. And so like having like a foundation sponsors and then churning higher level sponsors, that's been like a model that's been worked out for us.
That was a super based answer. Talking about you. Dave, you rock, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It's funny you talk about Zcash. I was fired up to see you read the article. Not so. I didn't care. Like I didn't have a directional take on selling the punk, but it was like provocative to see you sell the punk.
I just had this punk for forever. Like, man, there's a lot of capital locked up in that. It's not
a lot of capital.
much. Yeah.
I like content, so it's provocative. That fired me up. And I appreciate you coming on.
Je vais aller lire
Give
son
us,
article.
On a way out, give us some crypto optimism, if you have any, to share on what the next 6 months or year or so looks like, you think.
Yeah, there's just like just an inevitable conclusion to crypto, and especially with the rise of AI and how fast things can move, the only form factor of capital markets that can keep up with the rate of innovation is crypto. I think internet capital markets as like a thesis, which like everyone kind of has their own interpretation of what that is, will make a comeback. If there's going to be, if AI is going to like completely invert what labor looks like and everyone becomes an entrepreneur, the capital markets just have to be on the internet, because if we have 10 million entrepreneurs, none of them are going public. They're all going to go do stuff on the internet, and that's where we live.
Fucking love it. David Hoffman, Bankless. Everyone knows where to find you. I'm looking forward to the Murd episode.
C'est une bonne thèse, ça.
We're trying, like, Murt's running around the world, so we're trying to pin him down to record, but hopefully it'll come out next Monday if we can.
Pin that motherfucker down. I'm looking forward to it, man. You're awesome, brother.
Voilà, et ben écoutez, qu'est-ce que vous avez pensé de cette vidéo? Moi, j'ai trouvé super intéressante. Ça parle de pas mal de trucs, vraiment des bonnes idées, je trouve. Ouais, alors attendez, moi ce que je voulais voir, c'était son article, c'est lequel? On va prendre article, hop, building the Zect. Voilà, et bah ça je peux vous le dire que... Alors attendez, comment je crée une note déjà? Ça fonctionne pas. Voilà. Building the Zec. This in 2026. Alors du coup, c'est... Hop. Du coup, hop. C'est David Hoffman. Hop. Et... crypto. Et du coup, ça je pense qu'on va rajouter à Zcash. Hop. Et alors attendez. En fait, en même temps, je m'entraîne un petit peu à Ah ouais, mais ça, c'est pas exactement... Ah, j'ai un peu changé mon truc depuis. Ok, c'est pas grave. Du coup... Hop. Ouais, nude interviews... Ouais, c'est bien. Du coup... Voilà. Et ça, du coup, j'irai le lire. Voilà, je pense que ça va être très très intéressant. Ça va bien compléter ma thèse. Et voilà, je pense que c'est à peu près tout pour cette vidéo. Dites-moi ce que vous en avez pensé. Dites-moi si vous êtes bullish sur Zcash. Alors là, évidemment, hein, le token est assez haut. Attendez, hop. Il est relativement haut. Mais moi, j'ai déjà commencé un peu à l'accumuler. Alors, si vous voulez savoir comment est-ce que j'en accumule, premièrement, j'ai fait un article dessus, mais je l'ai fait il y a longtemps déjà, donc si vous ne l'avez pas vu, c'est le moment. C'est celui-là, voilà, comment accumuler du Zcash gratuitement. Donc je vous invite à aller le lire, je vous invite aussi à vous abonner à mon compte si vous voulez un peu du contenu comme ça. Petit spoil, du coup j'utilise le liquidity providing et du coup j'ai plusieurs positions de LP sur le Zcash et j'ai même un système qui est beaucoup plus complexe pour en accumuler. Ça, c'est une très bonne technique, c'est une technique que je fais. Mais ensuite, il y a plusieurs étapes en fait dans le système. Une fois qu'on en a bien accumulé, après, il y a des étapes pour, je dirais, pour mieux utiliser son capital, mieux utiliser, et faire plus de rendement du coup. Et tout ça, j'en parle dans le lien dans la description, donc dans le circuit du profit. Le circuit du profit, ça va être le programme où j'explique un peu mon modèle DeFi pour accumuler à peu près n'importe quel token. Donc ça marche sur Zcash, ça marche sur n'importe quel token. Et c'est un système qu'on va mettre en place avec plusieurs stratégies. Et donc chaque stratégie va servir en fonction de où on est dans le marché. Mais du coup l'objectif c'est toujours de faire augmenter son capital, mais pas juste en achetant et en vendant un peu plus haut. C'est un peu plus avancé que ça. Et c'est comment utiliser la DeFi dans tout son potentiel pour avoir son capital, le faire travailler très efficacement et du coup aller choper parfois des rendements qui vont... Je veux pas parler de rendements trop abusés, mais franchement on peut facilement taper dans du 50-100% par an. Voilà, ça c'est avec le liquidity providing. Et si on fait le circuit du profit, peut-être un petit peu plus que ça, en fonction des années, bien évidemment, il y a rien qui est garanti. Mais voilà, si vous voulez aller voir tout ça, bah, allez dans le lien dans la description. Donc il y a le lien vers le circuit du profit, et je vais aussi mettre un lien du coup vers les notes que j'ai fait. Attendez, hop, voilà. Sur, du coup, alors attendez. Voilà, sur la vidéo qu'on vient de voir, tout simplement. Voilà, c'est tout. Merci d'avoir regardé jusqu'au bout, et je vous dis à la prochaine. Salut.